When you want to talk about PC gaming, there's one company that is synonymous with that entire platform, and that is Valve. The fact that they created Steam, an entire curated storefront that has been the beacon of actual pro-consumer behavior inside the gaming space, truly is a sight to behold. Want to find any game on a great sale at a great price? Boom, you go to Steam. Want to go through and get good support for your game on trying to figure out how to fix it? Steam forums are the place to go for that. Want to find a community behind a video game that you like? That's the place to do it on Steam as well. Valve has been able to go through and create an entire platform where you can simply go to that one website or that one storefront and get everything you need in the gaming space on PC. However, though, even with all of that being said, there is a side to Valve that people truly do not know about. And the thing is, they have an economy that could honestly topple and rival most nations. Today, we're going to be talking about how Valve wiped away and destroyed over $4 billion in just one day. You see, Valve and Steam have been under some pretty intense scrutiny lately, from every kind of merchant bank to even most governments. And one of the big pieces of scrutiny that's been happening with Valve over the past couple of years is Counter-Strike skin trading. In fact, the entire market of Counter-Strike skins has been under massive amounts of scrutiny. Potential gambling for minors, the ability to go through and sell these items on marketplaces, third-party websites stealing information, accounts, and even personal data from users trying to go ahead and trade up their own items on the actual storefront because of Counter-Strike itself. You could dare even say people play Counter-Strike more for the skins than they do the actual game. In fact, the entire skin market in Counter-Strike became so seedy and underhanded that even influencers were creating their own lottery websites where players could go through and gamble their actual items in-game for trying to get more rare ones. The FTC even got involved as well under the website called CSGO Lotto, where two actual influencers were caught running their own lottery website, trying to get people to in fact use it and abusing the mechanics inside of it, making their outcomes far more favorable than making sure people will go onto the website and then dump more money for them specifically. It also happened to other major content creators like FaZe Banks and etc., basically just pushing this kind of thing incessantly. Hell, you could even see now in today's space that many players who play Counter-Strike don't even play the game itself, they mostly just open cases incessantly. And we're not just talking about a couple of skins in order to make a few dollars. Just a few days ago, the entire skin economy in Counter-Strike reached a $6 billion market cap. That's right, we're getting into that kind of thing, where you would actually have the better opportunity to make more money selling Counter-Strike skins than you actually did in the stock market. And yes, I did say 6 billion with a B. This really goes to show why so many companies are in fact so incessant on adding new kinds of skins into every single video game that they put out, even the ones that they charge you for at $70 a pop. Hell, back in 2012, Valve even went a step further and did this. The value of fun, according to Forbes, where Valve Software appoints its own in-house economist. That's right, back in 2012, Valve was in fact ahead of the curve, and they knew what would happen with the entire economies in their games, either with Team Fortress 2 or Dota 2 or even Counter-Strike. They knew the way the winds were blowing and had to find some way of creating a new sort of entry into this space or handling these kinds of problems. And the thing is though, last year, their former economist said this. According to PC Gamer, Valve's former economist says that Steam could produce better macroeconomic forecasts than Goldman Sachs with the power of crowdsourcing and brownie points. And if you don't know why this matters, it's because Giannis himself was an economist for the country of Greece back in 2015. Now, some of you may be thinking, Alex, these are just skins in a video game. They're not worth billions of dollars. Why would anybody even spend that kind of money? Well, according to Jake Lucky last year, the most expensive skin in Counter-Strike history was publicly sold this morning, back in June 5th of 2024. A StatTrak factory new AK-47 Blue Gem Pattern 661 for over $1 million. No, I didn't stutter. Yes, if you don't know much about Counter-Strike or skins in the actual economy of what's happening, that kind of made your head spin. A single skin of a gun in a game that has no actual impact on how you play the game or gives you any sort of actual benefit while playing, sold for over $1 million publicly. And that's not the most expensive skin privately available in the actual marketplace as well for CS2. Because according to Dexerto on the 22nd of October, the Counter-Strike skin market crash has now wiped $3 billion from its market cap, down from $6 billion prior to Valve's October 22nd update. With the article saying Counter-Strike 2's skin economy has entered freefall within 48 hours of Valve's October 23rd update, which allowed players to trade up 5 covert skins for knives or gloves. The total market cap has dropped from around $6 billion to just $3 billion, erasing billions in virtual value and leaving players questioning the future of one of the gaming's biggest digital economies. Now, if you don't understand what that really means, don't worry, I'm going to explain it to you. You see, inside the skins for Counter-Strike 2, there are 8 actual varieties. You've got common, you've got uncommon, you've got rare, mythical, legendary, ancient, you've got exceedingly rare, and immortal. Basically, immortal is almost impossible to find. What everybody wants, though, is pretty much exceedingly rare, knives and gloves, since they're incredibly difficult to find. Previously, the only way you can get them was by simply opening cases, and people would open cases non-stop, spending tons of money trying to basically just gamble their way into getting a higher piece of item. You see where it says ancient right over here, that red item, that red outline? Those items are basically just useless practically because you couldn't really do anything with them. The new patch though, and the new update basically said, well, you can take 5 of those items and trade them up for an exceedingly rare. Either have that item become a knife or in fact a pair of gloves. Yes, that's actually what I'm talking about. Knives and gloves. And because people had so many of the actual ancient items sitting in their inventory of just red line weapons, they just went ahead and started trading everything up, flooding the entire market. The more of something there is in a market, the less valuable in fact it becomes. And therefore, everything came crashing down. Anomaly on Twitter said this price crash will most likely be the biggest one to date for knives and gloves. I've been actively trading CS skins since 2013, and this is by far the update with the most impact ever released. The CS market will never be the same. And he's honestly not kidding. Taking a look at Price Empire, you can clearly see the moment the update in fact went live, as the $6 billion market cap did a full-on free fall into the $2 billion space, going above a $3 billion loss. We're talking about well over 50% of the actual market cratering and collapsing. There has been some bounce back over the past couple of days, and the actual economy for CS2 has reached back to a $4 billion market cap, but it is nowhere near what it was before at the $6 billion mark. In fact, Price Empire on Twitter was keeping pretty good track record about the entire thing, tweeting out consistent updates at the amount of money being lost over the actual couple of days, with the highest it went to at one point being over $3 billion in 38 hours. This is insane if you truly think about it, and really exposes what so many companies are in fact doing and why they're wanting to add microtransactions into their own games. We're looking at skins being sold for over $1 million on a third-party market. We're looking at the actual economy of video games being an insane part to go through, and people literally trying to invest actual real-world money into digital currencies or items that really hold no intrinsic value, yet for some reason are able to go through and trade and monetize these items digitally to go and actually make tons of money. In fact, one of the funniest things has been watching other content creators look at how much money they've lost specifically during that time. Here's one right now.
Days ago, $58K, okay? Now we make a shake. Let's see, guys. 58K to what? 58K. Ah! Yo, what?
Now, granted, watching someone lose around $40,000 in value due to their actual skins and their economy due to Valve simply pressing a button and allowing more people to have items really is kind of wild to see. The thing is, though, it didn't just end there. There were multiple reports of the actual economy and people in China literally trying to go through and... how do I put this? Basically just end it all simply because of the economy and the changes that happened inside of what Valve decided to do, wiping away that $4 billion of market cap simply by providing more opportunity for people to have those items specifically. In fact, it got so crazy that the international hotline was in fact posted on the CS2 Reddit, informing people that money is temporary and that will in fact be okay. Now, some people may be saying, Alex, what was the point of all of this? Why would Valve purposely go out and wipe away $4 billion of market cap in their own economy of their own game? None of this makes any sense. Well, one thing is happening specifically. Valve wants to make sure that what you're spending inside of their actual game is done on their own servers and on their own terms. I think the reason Valve chose to do this and take the hit on their own economy of skins and their own value of their items specifically is because so many people were going off onto third-party websites and third-party platforms in order to go through and make those trades, causing a massive inflation amount of value for those specific items and moving people away from Valve's internal game store to try and go through and do it on a third-party website, basically converting their own digital items earned through Counter-Strike 2 into proper actual currency. And that, my friends, is where things could get really sticky. We're talking about massive amounts of issues concerning with global economies, actual banks, transactions being done, or even, dare I say, money laundering due to Counter-Strike skins. There have even been so many other people in the finance space talking about how investing in Counter-Strike skins would have been a good idea. And honestly, even after that update, I really don't think it is. Now, that of course is just my thought process in the entire thing, but in reality, what I think Valve is trying to do was to make these items more attainable for the regular casual player. Before, gloves and knives in CS2 were very difficult to come by, spending tons of money to go ahead and open boxes and not really feeling as if you're going to get a proper item when you opened that case. Now, even if the item isn't worth anything or you just get one while playing naturally, you can take those items and trade them up specifically, giving yourself a better opportunity to get that item, whether it's a knife or a glove, and trade it for something else, thereby almost resetting the entire economy and giving more casual players reasons to open up a case and spend more money inside of Counter-Strike. I feel you're going to be seeing massive corrections across this space happen over and over. And what Valve is going to be doing is cracking down and making adjustments more in these spaces due to the fact that they have been far more under scrutiny recently, and the fact that having a $6 billion market cap on a digital item was kind of fucking crazy. Really, this seemed more like the entire NFT craze happening in a more microcosm space where everybody was trying to go ahead and buy a bunch of Bored Apes for a ton of money and then losing all that value overnight. Really funny when you kind of make that parallel and put them all together, actually. It kind of fits when you think about it. But I think this entire scenario and what happened with Valve and Counter-Strike 2 really can put into perspective why you're seeing so many other game companies force things like skins and etc. into so many video games, even when you're paying $70 for the game itself. Hell, Matt Piscatella talked about how people are buying less games year over year, and you're seeing it happen. People are playing more free-to-play games, putting more money into those games specifically, rather than going out and spending $70 on a video game. They'd rather save up their money and trade it up for a skin inside of Counter-Strike as well, especially after spending so much time and money already inside of these free-to-play games. When you look at games like Path of Exile that are free, that offer $500 supporter packs, which honestly I would never touch in the first place. At the second moment, you're also seeing things like Genshin Impact or any of the major actual whale games that you find on mobile that Hoyo really just puts out consistently all the time. These games make billions of dollars a day, and it really is wild to see how much money can be obtained simply by just wanting to open up a pack or get an item that is exceedingly rare that really holds no actual value besides what you hold digitally in that space. And that's why you're seeing so many AAA developers and companies make so much money money off of microtransactions. The fact that Activision Blizzard King alone brought in over $5 billion in just MTXs. We're not talking about game sales. These are just microtransactions, well, if you want to call them that, in buying skins and cosmetics and things like that. People want to play dress up all the time with their characters, especially if they're investing tons of hours into those video games. And that's where I think we're seeing a lot of actual stuff come through, and how these economies of scale in the market could really impact the gaming industry altogether. Valve decided to make a correction, in my opinion, a good correction, trying to reduce the actual inflation of cost of digital items in their own economy to go through and provide more people to actually play that game or even obtain the items that they want to go ahead and have, but also at the same time reduce any sort of legislative ability for other countries to go through and start looking at the books of what's in fact happening and going on. And honestly, with that kind of perspective and my tinfoil hat being put on, it feels almost like they did this entire thing on purpose, wiping away $4 billion of an actual economy and then saying, oops, sorry guys, my bad. I guess everybody has access to gloves and knives now. Guess things are going to have to change for a little bit. That kind of feels that exact same way. With them being so closely monitored by things like the UK government and etc., you can almost kind of like put the points together and say, that does make a little bit of sense. But again, that's just my Alex Jones tinfoil hat theory going on. I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Steam and Valve in the future, especially after what we've been seeing recently with the entire censorship issues that we've been talking about, and also their economy basically going through massive tumultuous things. In my opinion though, I feel like trying to invest into any sort of like digital good or any kind of economy in that space is going to be a fool's errand. You really don't know when a company or an update could basically just rug pull you out of everything you've invested into, and you could lose everything in general. And with all of that, I want to offer a warning. Look, it may seem like easy money trading up skins and knives and things like that for digital goods and try and make money that way and then siphon that off and basically launder money into finding some way of getting more money for yourself. But look, it's always going to be a risk. And with any sort of investment, there's always going to be a risk. I think if you're someone who's that savvy, you should take those skills and put them into real practice in a real space and not try to invest into everything you see online as a get-rich-quick scheme, because clearly at any moment, at any time, any update can happen and you can get the rug pulled out from under you. If it seems like it's too good to be true, it probably is. But you know what? We'll see what happens in the future with Valve specifically on how they're going to go through and deal with merchant banks and other UK government legislation, as well as basically trying to maintain an entirely now $4 billion Counter-Strike skin economy, or even the economy of scale in video games. And that's going to be something wild to see. If you want to see more of this kind of content though, more PC port reviews, gaming news, Steam Deck videos, fanboy content, and hot takes like this, subscribe to the channel. If you want Discord access and emotes during live streams, become a YouTube member. It's as low as $1. If you don't want to spend the buck, don't sweat it. Just show up Saturday nights, 8:45 p.m. Eastern, as I stream live in front of 800 people while wearing a banana suit, getting insulted with AITTS, and using a Dami Mommy voice changer to make my audience ooh woo in the chat. It's a hell of a show. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. With all that being said though, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you have a great one, and I'll see you gooners next time. Peace!